Today, I will be sharing with you 5 fragrances that I believe are perfect for the winter season. During the winter months, we're typically looking for fragrances that evoke a sense of warmth and comfort and some coziness. So I tend to focus on notes like amber, vanilla, sandalwood, a bit of spices, woodiness, and even a bit of sweetness. I think that the fragrances that I have for you today will definitely align with what we're looking for the winter months. But before we jump right into it, if this is your first time here, I'm Arahi, and in this channel, we love to talk about fragrances, makeup, and fashion. If that is the type of content that you're interested in, then please consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up so YouTube knows that you like this type of content, and don't forget to pause and leave a comment. All of the fragrances that we're talking about today, because they're designed for the winter, they tend to be fragrances that are not faint of heart and that have very prominent notes. So I really think that it's best that you get your nose on these fragrances before you take the plunge and you decide to purchase them. So the first fragrance that we're going to talk about today is a very special fragrance because it's from one of my favorite fragrance houses of all time, Xerjoff. But not only is it a fragrance from Xerjoff, it's a special edition and part of the Xerjoff Blends Rock Edition. Now, this fragrance is in collaboration with the legendary guitarist Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath. We are talking about Tony Iommi Monkey Special. Needless to say, this fragrance is a very edgy fragrance with a lot of character and definitely not for the faint of heart. This is a warm, spicy, woody fragrance with a bit of sweetness courtesy of cinnamon, vanilla, and caramel. Let me spray it. So yes, there is some booziness to this fragrance. This fragrance is dark and super sexy. What is the feel of this fragrance, you may ask? Well, this fragrance is all about luxury, worldliness, self-confidence, and a no-nonsense type of personality. This is the type of fragrance that it doesn't matter what occasion you pull it and use it for, you are going to feel confident and you're going to have like a pep in your step. This is definitely not a safe blind buy. I will also tell you that it performs beautifully. It has a very strong projection for the first 4 hours, and I get a good solid 8 to 10 hours from this fragrance. In hearing others talk about this fragrance, I can tell you that most people do believe that it leans masculine, but for me, this is perfectly unisex. This is a fragrance that I really enjoy. It is such a sexy fragrance. This next fragrance is a very special fragrance from a very reputable, popular, and loved fragrance house. It's from Bond Number 9, and we're talking about Nomad. So Nomad is an amber floral fragrance that has a bit of sweetness, some woodiness, and is powdery. Now, all throughout the journey of this fragrance, you are going to get in the background like a very soft oud and rose just lurking in the background. But I tell you, it's very smooth. This fragrance does not focus on the oud, but in the exquisite blend of all of the notes involved. And then at the dry down, you get vanilla added to that concoction of incredible notes. So, what is the feel of this fragrance? This fragrance is all about an energetic but elegant individual. Someone who is sexy but also a little bit mysterious. This is an entrancing fragrance, as in you can put people in a trance when they get a sniff of your scent. It is really sexy, but in a very mysterious way. I get a solid 10 hours plus from this fragrance with a very strong projection the first 4 to 5 hours. At the very end of the 10 hours, it does become not even a scent bubble. I would say it's more of a skin scent. This is truly a unisex fragrance, and I do not recommend that you blind buy this fragrance at all. The next fragrance on my list is from yet another one of my favorite fragrance houses, and that would be Ex Nihilo. And the fragrance that we're talking about for the winter months is Brompton Immortals, the EDP. So this fragrance has an extrait that I believe was launched in 2023, but this is from the original Eau de Parfum. Now, do not be concerned because this fragrance is definitely a beast mode. I haven't really thought about picking up the extrait. I did get my nose on the extrait and I absolutely love it, but I think that I don't need to have this one and the extrait. This one is an incredible performer. I get easily, guys, 10 to 12 hours with this fragrance. This is also the type of fragrance that will not leave your clothes. If you spray this on your clothes, it will be on there until you launder them. And if your clothes are sitting in a hamper, it will permeate all of the clothes that are in there. This is an amber floral fragrance that opens up with some spiciness courtesy of saffron and pink pepper. The saffron in the opening is pretty prominent and definitely pink pepper. So you must like saffron and pink pepper in order to really enjoy the opening of this fragrance. But it's not just the opening, because for me, I get the saffron and the pink pepper at the beginning quite prominent, and then it starts to transition into a lighter version of it. This is also the perfect fragrance for the winter months because to me it is quite dense without being cloying. Also, there is quite a bit of patchouli at the base. So at the dry down, you do get quite a bit of patchouli. And the patchouli is not overpowering or overwhelming because at the dry down, the blend is just magnificent. What is the feel of this fragrance? This is definitely about a sophisticated, room commanding, regal type of individual. It's almost as if they truly believe they are an immortal. That is the feel of this incredible fragrance. The next fragrance on my list is from a fragrance house that I haven't had the opportunity to really explore. I only have one fragrance from this house, but this will definitely not be the last fragrance that I pick up from them. This is from Bodacious the Victorious, and this is Bodacious. I do love the note of cherry, and I find that during the fall and winter months, cherry fragrances are really something that I pull towards a lot. This fragrance I consider to be the king of all of my cherry fragrances, and I have quite a collection of them. This fragrance is an amber vanilla fragrance that opens up quite spicy thanks to the note of cloves. Now the cloves in the opening are quite prominent, so you must like cloves in order to like this opening. This is also a slightly boozy fragrance. I get like some sour cherries, quite a bit of almonds, some tobacco, and cognac. Overall, there's a nutty quality to it with a bit of powderiness. Not too powdery, but just right. So what is the feel of this fragrance? So this is not an everyday fragrance, guys, because in all honesty, I believe that this fragrance is like a tool of seduction worn by a seductress. So yes, this is not an everyday perfume. She is very well put together and has a sultriness to her. I also think that this is a killer third date fragrance. You know, the first date, you're getting to know one another, you're just having casual conversation and you're a bit nervous. The second date, you go deeper, you come to understand each other a bit better, and you kind of try and make a decision on if you want to invest your time on a third date. Now, when you move to the third date, you're really looking to firm things up, and I think that this fragrance is the perfect third date fragrance. As far as performance, I get a solid 8 to 10 hours with this fragrance, if not more. And I would say that the projection is moderate for about the first 5 to 6 hours. And from there, it does become a skin scent for me. One thing that I love about this fragrance is the sillage, because the sillage is above moderate, I actually find the sillage to be quite strong. If you pass a group of people, they will definitely sniff you, and most of the times they will want to know what you're wearing. Needless to say, this is a high compliment getter. It is definitely unisex, and I do not recommend that you blind buy it. So you know that if I only picked 5 fragrances for winter out of quite an extensive collection of fragrances, it must be because I think that these fragrances are special. This next fragrance to me is definitely a masterpiece, and it is a fragrance that is not as dark as all of the others that we've talked about today. There's a bit of lightness to it. It is a very versatile fragrance that you can use during the day and also during the night. I'm talking about Oswan from Wolian. Now this is a beautiful floral woody musk fragrance, and you get that from the moment you sniff it. It opens with a very, very well done combination of raspberries and bergamot, which add a bit of freshness to it. And yes, it is definitely the perfect winter fragrance. It is the fragrance that you can use for any occasion during the winter. It is also slightly woody. It has like a bit of a leather quality, and it ends with a dry down that includes vanilla. I also get some powderiness at the dry down. What is the feel of this fragrance? This fragrance is undeniable elegance. It's an elegant, beautifully done, beautifully blended fragrance. Of all of the fragrance that I've shared today, this is the least beast mode fragrance of the group. I get a good 7 to 8 hours, with the first 2 hours being a pretty strong projection. The sillage is consistent and moderate all throughout, but this fragrance, guys, is such an elegant and beautiful fragrance that whenever you use it, you will get compliments. Guys, so we've reached the end of the video, but I just wanted to ask you, what fragrances are you using for the winter? Have you tried any of these fragrances? What are your thoughts on them? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the support, and I will see you in the next video.